Billy Joel's my favorite artist by far,
Mhm.
by a billion. I think he's a brilliant songwriter, and my wife is a huge fan of Stevie Nicks. So I was already willing to pay more than I probably should for the tickets. And then when I realized, it was in the big stadium down there where they play football, and then when I realized um, that even the decent seats, you would have to watch the video board, and I'm like, if I'm going to watch a video, I'll stay home. So I ended up buying some seats that were pretty close to the front on the side, and paid probably 3 times as much per ticket as I've ever paid for 4 tickets to a concert in my life.
We're not even going to talk about these Taylor Swift
Oh,
tickets.
I've seen them. I've seen
Uh,
them on there.
Outrageous.
Yeah, I've seen them.
See you
Fortunately,
later.
we see you later. We're not gonna go, but my son is a huge fan. But he doesn't get any say in this because we bought him tickets to see Billy Joel in Orlando when he turned 16.
Oh, wow.
Uh, so he has no claim to any future major expenditure concerts that he's not buying on his own. See you guys. Good to see everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome on this beautiful Thursday. We have one more meeting in June. I'm a little sad and a little happy, I have to admit. Please remember to silence your cell phones and keep conversations to a minimum during the presentation, so that everyone can hear our speakers today. And I'd like to start the meeting with our inspiration pledge and four-way test from Phil Gray.
Thank you. Let's start with the pledge and then the four-way test. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? If I can have a seat. Before I do this very quickly, I want to say that in a previous life, I had an opportunity to coach football at Tates Creek High School. At that time, Frankie Minnifield was playing Henry Clay, and they were really good. The only people happier than his family to see him graduate was us. Good to see you again, Frank. As we move closer to July 4th, let's remember the first 17 words of the preamble of the Constitution. You all learned them in school. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. Those are the first 17 words. As a country, we need to continue to strive every day to form a more perfect union and establish equal justice. One way we did this was 58 years ago today. June 13th, 1966, Miranda versus Arizona. The United States Supreme Court established a code of conduct for police interrogations of criminal suspects held in custody. Chief Justice Earl Warren, writing for the 5-4 majority, held that prosecutors may not use statements made by suspects under questioning in police custody unless certain minimum standard safeguards were followed. He specified new guidelines to ensure, quote, that the individual is accorded his privilege under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, not to be compelled to incriminate himself. Known as the Miranda warnings, these guidelines include informing arrested persons prior to the questioning that they have the right to remain silent, that anything they say may be used against them as evidence, that they have the right for an attorney. And if they are unable to afford an attorney, one will be appointed for them. Good stuff. Keep working for equal justice. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. And now with the introduction of our guests, Mike Baker.
Madam President. Hello, everybody. We have no visiting Rotarians and we have no visiting Rotaract, but we have some very special guests today. Reagan Blevins, where are you? Are you? Stand up. Brad's going to come see you.
Hi, today I brought my cute husband, Chris Blevins. Chris is an environmental engineer and solar engineering, but more importantly, having him from Northern Ohio, he's a big grad school, so.
Welcome, Rotary. Chris Aldridge, where are you hiding? There you are. Here he comes. Brad's going to get you.
So good afternoon. My special guest today is someone I've known for longer than we care to remember, but our children were in preschool together. Her daughter Virginia and my son Lewis. But this is Laura Newsom. Laura is also the daughter of one of our speakers, Collier McLaughlin. Laura has been a very successful real estate agent here in Lexington for the past 15 years with Berkshire Capital. So we welcome Laura to today's client.
Welcome, Laura. Okay, Sean Lyons, where are you hiding? There you are.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to introduce my friend and former colleague of Transylvania, Susan Ware, who's their senior director of donor relations for 4 weeks as she retires, and is our speaker's niece as well.
Welcome. Jenny Stir, you brought a punch. You doubled up today.
I have two guests today. Chris Henry is the Field Main Bank. If you've been reading your wheel course, you will see his name in here because he's a proposed member. Very excited that he's decided to join our club soon, hopefully. And then this is Michael Thomason, with a big dog, mighty dog for big, I was gonna get wrong. And Michael was one of our attendees at the Rotary Mixer 2 weeks ago, and has decided to learn a little bit about Rotary, so I'll welcome that.
Welcome. Welcome to all our guests today. Welcome to Rotary.
Thank you, Mike. With the lottery, Gordon Patterson.
Ace of Clubs, 1,300.
1,300 is the pot and the ace of clubs. Oh,
Two.
yeah, I'll take one, Okay, the first number is 8656. 8656. Ah. We trust you. Ooh. Thank you for your donation. The second number is 8678. 8678. Oh, John. Good luck. Oh, sorry, thanks for your donation. Welcome to all those that are joining us on Zoom. We hope to see your smiling faces in person sometime soon. Celebrating birthdays this week and next, Becky Reinhold, Harvey Coggin, Harry Calicote, Buzzy Tenney, Brian Hirschenow, Jamie Schrader, Andrew Schenken, and today's birthday, Pam Goodwine and Buzz Carmichael. Happy birthday, Rotarians. Next week is our Doing Rotary Differently week. And some of the opportunities we have for you to get out in the community and do Rotary differently is on Saturday, we're going to have the pollinator garden cleanup at 9 a.m. at Kenwood Park. Tuesday, Commerce Lexington has a business link at Barney Miller's. It's $10 to attend and it's from 4 to 6. On Wednesday, we have our social event at the Lexington Legends at 6 p.m. It's $16, and that includes the ballpark buffet and admission to a private room there. And I think tickets are still on sale. When's the deadline for that, Peggy? Tuesday. So if you are interested in going, we need to have the final count by Tuesday. On Thursday, we are having a lunch and learn in the Rotary office for potential new members that are interested in learning more. If you have any questions about the lunch, contact Marcus Cross or Sean Lyons. We're selling raffle tickets for 3 tremendous prizes for our fundraiser for Town Branch Park. We have just a reminder with all of our new Rotarians, we have made a 5-year pledge to the, I guess it's Gatton Park at Town Branch, I guess, right? Okay. I'm gonna have to write that down to remember it. Anyway, we made a 5-year commitment of a total of $100,000 to the children's play area. We're helping support the plantings and things there. And so we're doing these raffles and other fundraising efforts to help raise the $20,000 a year commitment. So hopefully you'll participate. There's lots of great prizes, and Sharon Reed has been selling tickets at check-in. And you can also get them on GiveSmart. We've got some red badges to switch out. Can I have Sharon Townsend join me at the podium?
Thank you all. On behalf of Jerry Vandermeer and John Wright, we are excited to switch red badges to blue badges. We have 4 people who are here today, yearlings, who are going to get their blue badges, and then I will announce the other yearlings who have completed all the membership requirements, but were not able to attend today. So could I ask Kitty Lane to come forward? Patrick Metzger. Yes, and once you get up here and you get your badge, please stay. We want to do a group photo. Mark Picoro. Is Mark here today? There he is. Lance Picaro. There he is. And is Jeff Picoro here today? He couldn't make it. Okay. So we are switching to blue badges. We have officially 5 new members, and then there are others. While they're doing that, I'm going to read the names of the others who have qualified for their blue badges, but who were not able to attend. Lloyd Elliott, Gregory Teray, Bruce Daly, and Jeffrey Narzacco. So congratulations to all of these. Okay. We're going to do a photo. Okay.
No. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sharon. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll give it to you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'd also like to bring up Jenny Schnur for the introduction to one of our new Rotarian members, Mary Ellen. Yeah.
That's my spin class running self. I just run all right up here. I am so delighted to have the opportunity to introduce Mary Ellen to the club. Mary Ellen is a Chicagoland native who is happily married and has 2 adult sons and a stepdaughter.
with 6 children. She started her career in financial services while she was still in college at DePaul University in Chicago, working with companies such as Northwestern Mutual, Charles Schwab, and Principal Financial Group. Over the years, she's felt that she can help more people by being in management and coaching financial advisors on how to run their practice and advise clients in the best way. Back in January, Mary Ellen was presented with an opportunity to move to Lexington and manage a Satira Investors Kentucky branch. As branch manager, she supports the financial professionals by being relationship-oriented and focusing on their professional development. Prior to moving to Lexington, she was involved in industry associations and those focused on women in the industry. She volunteered with a couple of different women's church groups and spent over 15 years volunteering with Boy Scouts of America as a Cub Scout leader, serving on the Cub Scout Pack Board, planning high adventure camps and merit badge. I know we have some Boy Scout committee members who are going to be just reaching out to say hi to her after this. Excuse me. Being new to Lexington, she wanted to meet like-minded people, and so she went to a Women Leading Kentucky event where we were tabling and met her. She's been to several meetings. She came out to Keeneland, and I had the joy of spending the day at Keeneland together. And I cannot be more delighted to introduce her to the club. So give her a nice welcome. Here is your red badge.
And now I'd like to also ask Jeremy Maynard to come up and introduce another new Rotarian member, R.G. Conley. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to introduce RG today because he's been both my friend and mentor for around 25 years, both in music and computer programming. Anytime I had a personal project, I would run it by him, and he wouldn't even have to look at the code, and he would just say, based on personal experience, the issue is probably either here or here, and I'd go back, and that's exactly what it would be. So going to his career, he actually started off in music education, and he was so successful that he had to change jobs. And I say that because he was working with like the all district and all state band competitions, and he was dissatisfied with the scheduling software. So he wrote his own, and it became implemented, and that springboarded him into a BPO and office automation career. He worked his way up to Chief Innovation Officer for Xerox Business Services, and retired from there in 2017. And he's also a thought leader for the industry. He has been the keynote speaker several times, and including in I know for sure because in 2016 I got to see him in Orlando, and the person that followed him on stage was none other than Peyton Manning. So I knew he had the good time slot. So he's also very involved. He's actually recently became associate pastor of our church, and he's very involved with helping people, individually and also internationally. He works with the Global Smile Foundation, which corrects cleft palate for children in Ecuador, and he travels there and does all the IT services for the physician scheduling. That way they can pack as many in that short time as they can. And looking at the results, especially after 2 years, it's nothing short of miraculous. So he's going to be a great addition to the club. And now he's CEO of Tylark Corporation, which provides smaller and mid-sized businesses with IT consulting, office automation consulting, and all the way to he has 2 natural resource projects that are going in Canada and Mexico as well. So please help me welcome RG to the club.
Lots of good things happening here with the club. You guys are doing a great job at bringing new guests each week and potential new members to the club, and we greatly appreciate it. It's fun to see this growth. And I want to also thank Jenny, Crystal, and Dylan again for their social media marketing efforts and everything that they're doing, because it's really making a big impact in getting Rotary's message out in the community. Thank you so much. Now, with the introduction of our program today, I'd like to invite Chris Aldridge to the podium. Oh, also, there's some information about this. Were you going to talk about the brochure on the table? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam President, fellow Rotarians and guests. You are in for a treat today. It's my honor to introduce two people who come from very different environments who were brought together by their love of football. Our first speaker today is Frank Minnifield, who's Executive Director of the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, many of you know Frank. Many of you are familiar with his football career, his great career with the Cleveland Browns. But I'm here to tell you about the Frank Minnifield that you don't know. Frank once said to me, we were working on something kind of simple and I was ready to give up. And Frank said, Chris, he said, I can count on one hand the number of times I've given up on anything in my life. And his football and business career proved that. Frank was raised in the projects here in Lexington, went to Henry Clay High School. And as Phil said, he was a great football player at Henry Clay, except according to some at 5'9", 140 pounds, he was too small to play college football. So he got no scholarship offers despite his career at Henry Clay. And he was told to walk on, somebody suggested he walk on at the University of Louisville. He even said at the time, I didn't know Louisville had a football team. Now, yeah, there's a joke somewhere there. But at any rate, he walks on at Louisville his freshman year, gains 40 pounds, puts on 40 pounds of muscle, is a starter his second year as a defensive back, leads the nation in kickoff return yardage his junior year, finishes third in the nation in punt return yardage his senior year, and had a great career at the University of Louisville. But once again, people from the NFL tell Frank, say, Frank, you're too small to play defensive back in the NFL and cover those tall wide receivers. So Frank was undrafted in 1982 NFL draft for the NFL. So there was a new league starting called the USFL, a new summer league. And that's the best thing Frank will tell you that ever happened to his football career. He does get drafted for the USFL, plays 2 seasons, and his head coach was none other than the future NFL Hall of Famer, George Allen, who told Frank, he said, Frank, you're the best defensive back I have ever seen. And so during his USFL career, the NFL noticed and they were just falling all over themselves trying to get Frank into the league. And the lucky winner of that was the Cleveland Browns, who he signed with in 1984, and the rest is history. All rookie team, 4-time Pro Bowler, first and second team All NFL. And the kicker is he was named to the NFL's All-Decade team for the 1980s, despite the fact that he didn't play 4 years in the 1980s. When Frank retired from the NFL in 1992, people said, well, Frank, you're just a dumb football player. You can't go into business. What do you know about business? So Frank founds Minnifield Enterprises, and we all remember from the early 90s, Minnifield All-Pro Homes. But Minnifield Enterprises is one of the lead suppliers, vendors to Toyota manufacturing plants all around the world. And 32 years later, it's still growing strong. And what did Frank accomplish? He became the first African-American elected to the Commerce Lexington Board of Directors. He's many years been on the Board of Directors for Community Trust Bank. He was appointed by Governor Fletcher to the Board of Trustees at the University of Louisville. He was elected chair of the University of Louisville Board of Trustees in 2010. So again, Frank never gives up, never quits on anything. That's a hallmark of his life. And our next speaker is Collier McLaughlin. Now, for those of you who are not baby boomers in the audience or not historians of football, let me give you a little background on her father's 42-year coaching career. The highlights of his coaching career was he was head coach for 7 years at the University of Kentucky, then head coach for 8 years with the Cleveland Browns. He is still with head football coaches over 100 wins. He is still in the top 10 of winning percentages in NFL history, winning almost 70% of his games with the Cleveland Browns. In 1964, he led the Cleveland Browns to the last football championship that city enjoyed, a world championship in the NFL, and this was before the Super Bowl started in 1967. So, and as far as growing up in a different environment, just think of these friends who often were in your home. You know, folks like Adolph Rupp, Paul Brown, Ara Parsiga, Don Shula, Howard Schnellenberger, Otto Graham, Lou Graza, Homer Rice, Bill Glass, Doug Parrish, Bill Arnsparger, Happy Lancaster, Harry Lancaster, and Happy Chandler. Those were childhood guests and young adult guests in her home. And Kay is accomplished in her own right. She has a PhD in counseling. She is a published author of 6 books. She is a well sought after public speaker and seminar leader around the country. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite up our friend Frank Minnifield and the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well, Chris, that was amazing. So I can remember telling you all of that long time ago. You didn't even call me up to get a refresher on that. Well, guys, do everybody know what football is before I get started? I don't want to assume nothing. Okay, good, good. I guess what I need to do, I need to thank everybody that had anything to do with allowing the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame be here today. I especially want to thank Chris. Chris has worked tirelessly for the last 2 weeks, making sure that we're prepared to do this today. Also, I want to thank Chris because Chris has agreed to be one of the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame board members. So you guys know we're getting a star in the makings, just based on what you just saw and what he has done today. So Chris, thank you. I appreciate that. You might have to come tell me how to work this little gadget up here again though, but button on the right. Okay, good. Well, guys, I only got like 200 slides to go through, so I'm going pretty quick. Just kidding, just kidding. I know you guys don't like a long speaker, so I got my clock running. They told me I had 10 minutes, so I'm not gonna waste any time. See where I'm at, okay. The Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame has been around for 23 years. And I probably can count the hands real quickly if who has heard of the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame, correct? Who's heard of the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame? Not too bad. I see we're growing in popularity. I see that. Well, 23 years ago, there was a group of guys by the name of Joe Fetterspiel, Randy Burke, Kelly Kirchbaum, Dallas Owens, Felix Wilson, Raymond Smith. I'm sure all you guys in here know somebody on that list. We was all NFL players here in Lexington, Kentucky, and we all wanted to do something special for the city of Lexington, Kentucky. And we tried a number of things. And first thing off the shelf, a golf outing, right? That's always first. Second thing off the shelf was we were going to do a camp. A disaster. Now you guys can look at my list. We ain't got any PhDs on that list, and most of them wore the helmet way too long. So it wasn't a whole lot of good advice coming my way when we decided to try to find something else to do. But I'll never forget when we're the NFL Players Association Kentucky chapter at the time, and I'll never forget Kelly Kirchbaum, who was a number 2 draft pick, I believe, for New York Jets. And he was the president of the Kentucky chapter. And so we're in our meeting, we're trying to figure out something to do. We want to help the kids, we want to raise money, we want to help high school football, we want to bring more notoriety to football in Central Kentucky. And so the meeting's about over, and I say, guys, I got a good idea. I said, let's start the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. And if you guys know Kelly gave us one of the answers that I'll never forget. He said, You can't just start Hall of Fames. Said people don't do that. And like Chris said, I usually don't give up on anything. And so here I am today, 23 years later. Most of these guys are still helping me, even though I played the biggest role in keeping the Kentucky Pro Football on track. And so here's a couple of things that we did. I talked about them. This was our camp at the YMCA. You know, I put this on here because Damani Dawson, that's probably the only picture we got of Damani Dawson. He wasn't a NFL Hall of Famer at the time, so he would do anything we told him to do at the time because he was looking up to us. He was probably at UK at the time. And guys, this is me teaching tackling. Y'all can see that mean face I got on me. I'm not gonna miss this tackle. But guys, we got down to business. I made the suggestion. They finally fell in line. We still did the golf outing a couple more years before we got our act together. But in the end, we got together for one meeting. We selected our first class. And our first class was probably the greatest class we ever selected. But it had to be the great class because we're picking people like Damani Dawson, Jeff Van Note, Lenny Lyles, Buddy Ryan, and you guys probably didn't even know Buddy Ryan was here in Kentucky, but it was 100% critical that these guys bought into what we was gonna do our very first class. Now you can only imagine if Buddy Ryan would have came into the room and said, "This is a bunch of crap." The Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame would have been dead. But you know, these 5 guys came into the room. They said, wow, wow. And that set the stage for the next 23 years. Because after this group went, nobody else could say anything bad about the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, we wasn't very organized at the time. We went through some trying periods because we was kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We didn't write nothing down. I mean, we had a bunch of football players in the room, right? And we all thought we was gonna remember everything, and so, but eventually we got our act together. I mean, we incorporated the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, remember, guys, y'all talking about football players. Now, everybody played more than 10 years, so it ain't the smartest crew that we've had to deal with. So, but we was able to do it. We incorporated. We created a board of directors, which Kay is the chair of our board of directors right now, and Chris is a member of our board. We created bylaws. And more importantly, we created minimal guidelines to be inducted into the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. And the minimal guidelines, you can see them here. They're real simple. My son liked to say, if you was passing on the interstate and you was a great football player, you get in. But that's not quite true. Here's the basics, so that if anybody asks you how you get into the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame, I want you to be able to tell them this. You have to basically meet 2 requirements. You have to meet residency, and you have to meet participation. So the way you meet residency, you either went to one of our colleges, you was either born in Kentucky, or you currently live in Kentucky. That makes you eligible for the residency. And then participation. Just about everything is 5 years. If you played pro football for 5 years, if you was a head coach in the NFL for 5 years, or you're assistant coach for 10 years, that gives you your participation eligibility. And if once you meet those 2 guidelines, then somebody can nominate you to be inducted into the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. Is that pretty clear? Pretty simple? But my son, he likes to say that we got some guys that only had coffee in our Hall of Fame. But I like to point out that everybody in our Hall of Fame, except for 2 people, has played as long as 10 years or more in our Hall of Fame in the NFL. Every one of them. And make sure I'm. Guys, there's three dates that we love to talk about. We've been here for 23 years. The 10th year, every member of our Hall of Fame received championship rings that said Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. I ain't wearing mine today. I should have wore it. But I keep it on the dresser, safekeeping. So 10 years of our existence, we got everybody championship rings. And so from that point on, everybody received a championship ring, says the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame on it. In our 20th year, we got dressed up a little bit and we gave everybody purple jackets. And I'm sure I know what you're saying to yourself. Why purple, right? Why purple? You look like girls up there in that purple, right? The girls like them though. I had two comments coming up the elevator. Lady said, where you get that purple jacket at? Well, guys, let me tell you why we chose purple. Because we wanted our color to mean something. We wanted our purple to mean something. So we went to see what they said about all those other jackets everybody gets. And it was two jackets that we were real interested in. It was the Masters jacket and it was the gold jacket that the NFL got. And so we talked to both, but the one that caught our attention was what the NFL said. The NFL said they give their Hall of Famers gold jackets because they are the gold standard for the NFL. So obviously we had to, our purple jacket look a whole lot better than that gold stuff they got. But we did the research, and what we discovered in our research, purple back in the ancient world, purple was hard to make, and only royalty made purple. Only the royal family wore purple. And so purple became the color of royalty. And so when you see the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame players wear their purple jacket, that is the royal family of football in the state of Kentucky. I like those heads shaking. That. And the other reason why we chose purple is because you mix blue and red together, guess what you get? Purple. And it's important to have blue and red on our side all the time. Guys, this is a picture of our 20th anniversary. I'm sure you guys recognize a whole lot of those guys. And if you don't, I'll be around for a long time to answer any questions. I want to point out that someone that is probably close to both organizations, that is Tommy Bell in the middle. Tommy Bell was in our 2018 class of the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Bruce was there to do his induction. And I believe Bruce is a part of you guys' organization. Just want to point out some of the things that we have in common. Guys, this year, and I'm going to tell a quick story real quick. You guys know who Deuce Williams is? Anybody know Deuce Williams? Oh boy, how quickly we forget. Deuce Williams was an awesome wide receiver over at UK. Did extremely well over UK. Didn't get to play in the NFL very long, probably a couple years. But here we are, our very first induction ceremony. I tell Deuce Williams that the guys that we have in our induction ceremony, you know, we got Jeff Van Noe, we got Damani Dawson, we got Lenny Lyles. And he's so impressed with those 5 guys that Deuce said, man, that is awesome. Wow, how you get those guys to come? And I said, oh man, we just asked them, they came. He said, wow. And then he said, but probably the same question you guys would have had. He said, why? Do y'all have enough NFL football players to do this next year? Because you know why he said that? Because everybody in the United States and the state of Kentucky has been brainwashed that Kentucky is a basketball state. Guys, we have inducted 112 of the greatest football players ever played in the state of Kentucky and in the NFL in our Hall of Fame. And I don't think we can say that about basketball. And one last thing I'm gonna say about that, and then I'll move on, start clicking this button a little bit faster. And that is, guys, remember this, football pays the bills. In every university, every college, football pays the bill. That contract that the SEC signs, that Kentucky gets a cut of, pays everybody's salaries. Everybody. It's not, baseball don't make them a dime. They might get a couple of checks this year, but soccer don't make them anything. Swimming don't make them anything. Basketball probably only makes enough to pay a few people. And I know this personally because I was the chair of the University of Louisville and I saw what football did for the university. It grows the university. And these young men that we honor are the reason why. But that's all my little help. But let me introduce you guys to this year's class. This year's class. And you probably ain't gonna know none of them. You know why? Because they haven't been on Channel 27, Channel 36, but these are men from the state of Kentucky. I'm gonna go down one at a time. Harry Douglas, anybody know him? Got two. Let me tell you about Harry Douglas. Played for the University of Louisville. He is on ESPN every day. He played 11 years in the NFL. And one of the great wide receivers for Atlanta Falcons. Maurice Douglas, you guys should know that name. Played for the University of Kentucky. Played 12 years in the NFL. 12 years in the NFL. Most people only gets 3. Played 12. Luke Stocker. Luke Stocker is a Berea kid. Chose to go to Tennessee. That's the reason why y'all don't know Luke, because he left town, went to go play for Tennessee. So y'all don't know Luke. Luke played 12 years, and he's right now he's presently coaching for the Tennessee Titans. Jack Doe, Western Kentucky University. Fred Lee Davis. I know you don't know Fred Lee because we always induct what we call pioneers in our Hall of Fame. Because if you just think about it, everybody's got to win this election, right? And so the guys that are deceased, you know, just like what you got, the faces that I'm seeing right now from you guys, don't nobody know them, right? We got to go dig them up. We got to go find out what they did, what the contribution they made to football. And then, and only then we can understand why they need to be in our Hall of Fame. Fred Lee Davis grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. He left the state to go play for Alabama. We'll forgive him for that. And then he won the Super Bowl, what was then the Super Bowl, two times in a row with the Chicago Bears. And he's one of the great players of the Chicago Bears of all time. He's on their all-time team. And that is a Kentucky kid from the state of Kentucky, from Louisville, Kentucky. And we need to give him his dues. His family is going to be here celebrating with us. And we plan to do a bang-up job to make sure they understand how proud we are of one of our kids from the state of Kentucky. You guys are going to be very interested in this. The second column, Tom Hammond is in our Pro Football Hall of Fame. You guys know why Tom Hammond needs to be in our Pro Football Hall of Fame? Tom Hammond was one of the greatest play-by-play announcers for the NFL ever. He's got to be in our Hall of Fame. What about this? Center College in our Hall of Fame. You know why Center College is in our Hall of Fame? Center College was the Alabama back in the years when football was just getting started, Center College was the Alabama of that era. Never lost a game. Traveled all over the country, beating everybody. Center College. We put them in our Hall of Fame just for that reason. And one person that I want to point out, Phyllis George, is in our Hall of Fame. Because guys, we don't just honor football players. Okay, we want to honor everybody that contributed to the greatness of football. And so you don't have to wear the helmet. You didn't have to make the tackle. It's important for us. Well, back, okay. All right. All right, guys, just real quick. One of our big initiatives is to promote football in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky Collegiate All-Commonwealth Team is our big initiative. We honor players from every school in the state of Kentucky every year at the Capitol. This year it's going to be on the 26th of June. I'd like to invite everybody to come down if we can. The purpose of the All-Commonwealth team is to appropriately honor our football players in the state of Kentucky. And I think I'm getting thrown off the stage, so I guess I'm going to stop right there. But let me invite all you guys to come and celebrate football in the state of Kentucky with the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll have the majority of our Hall of Famers here this year, and we're going to have a great time. It's 2 days. Guys, check us out. Do our whatever this code thing is. Do that and come and see us, okay?
You know what? Frank has become the brother I never had. So I get just bumping him off the stage because we're supposed to do 10 minutes each, and I'm going to take 2. But it was important for you to hear. If there was ever a visionary, it has been my blessing. In 1985, when I went to Cleveland to present this book, Football's Gentle Giant, to Art Modell, Frank was playing for the team. We had never met each other, although we had been from the same football family. And I soon learned when he called me, and I can picture where I was standing in my office and said, we would like to initiate an award in your father's name, the Blanton Collier Award for Integrity on and off the field. And of course, our family was very touched and very honored. And so we went to the first banquet at the Campbell House, and we had that awe feeling. What an amazing thing he had put together. And I'll never forget that Romeo Crennel was in that first class. And of course, he was head coach of the Browns. Couldn't get any better than that. And the first Blanton Collier Award went to Rich Brooks. We were very, very excited about that. So I was very pleased when Frank asked if I wanted to come aboard and participate. And so, as he said, we formed a board of directors. We were very blessed to have Frank's coach, Steve Parker, who is Dr. Steve Parker, education professor and vice president at UK, become our first chair of the board. And we went forward there. Our mission statement has always been honoring Kentucky's football legends to support Kentucky's children and young people. Our beneficiaries have included the Autism Society, the Spinal Cord Injury, the Boys and Girls Club, and our beneficiary now is the Foster Care Council. And so we work very hard to be sure that we can contribute to these fine organizations. Again, the visionary person, Frank and I were at one of our famous 7 a.m. meetings, waiting for everybody else to show up. And he said, I heard that you said you couldn't be at this next Hall of Fame. What's the deal? And I said, well, I've got a reunion. And he went, what's the reunion? Some of you may have read the book, The Thin 30, written by Shannon Raglan,
telling the story of the team that when my dad left UK was 108 players. And by the spring game, there were 30 of them left. Shannon wrote the book that told the story. And there was a reunion in Louisville. And some of those players, you know, in those days, in the Southeastern Conference, the freshmen played a separate schedule from the varsity. So the freshmen decided they wanted to have a reunion themselves. And Frank said, you know, he went home and I guess he read the book, and the next week he said, I know who needs to get this award this year. These men who were literally dumped from their scholarships, often their fathers felt they had no idea how their sons had been abused. People in their hometowns crossed the street and didn't speak to them. And yet when we heard from them, these were educators, physicians, attorneys, businessmen. My dad used to say, anybody can teach a guy to play when he's on his feet. But real coaching is when you teach a guy to get up off of his feet and get back to work. And that's what we honored that second year. And from that came the formation of the Blanton Collier Group to support excellence, education, and integrity in athletics. We call it the sibling organization of the Hall of Fame. Representatives from each board serves on the other board, and we work together. The Blanton Collier Award, and I'm not going to take time to show you all the pictures, but has gone to such luminaries as Jim Brown, Gail Sayers, Tony Dungy, the Manning family, the Harbaugh family, Frank Minnifield, Anthony Munoz, Dermani Dawson. And I just must tell you briefly that last year, I'm so proud of our organization because one of the dark sides of the NFL has been, while tons of African Americans are the backbone of the players of the NFL, last year in 2023, there were only 3 head coaches that were African American. And we were very proud to honor those 3 coaches, Mike Tomlin, Todd Bowles, and Lovie Smith. Some of you may not know that Fritz Pollard, who was the first African American coach in the 30s, that the all-white owners got together and decided that there would never be another African American head coach. And that stayed true until the man that we are going to honor this year, Art Shell, who became the head coach twice of the Oakland Raiders. And now we have 9 head coaches, and inclusivity and diversity are taking a step up. And we like to think that we have been a proud part of that. I need to close quickly, but I want to tell you what we're thinking about for the future. As Frank shared to you, we gave the diamond rings for the 10th anniversary, the purple jackets for the 20th. So our 25th is coming up, and we want to have a Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame museum, not just for history purpose, but as a living thing to show, because the excitement that we see from people of all ages. 2 quick stories about kinds of things that we want to show in this museum. Historically, for instance, in the big Hall of Fame in Canton, there is the contract of the first African-American player signed, Bill Willis, who was signed by the Cleveland Browns. And his contract was $2,000. You see, in those early years, and for many, many years, the players did not make a living from playing football. So the fantastic salaries that we hear about today, the kids growing up need to know what the history of this game is and what kind of dedication and perseverance from the early players have built this into what it is today. It's not just the wealthy owners. Trust me, it is not. Without these players and their commitment and their love of the game, we would not have what we have today. A funny story. We like to get stories from the men when they come. Some of you, especially if you're Browns fans, may know the name Dick Shafrath. Great, big, wonderful defensive player who later became a state senator in the state of Ohio. He grew up on a farm, one of 5 boys. And he said, you know, we worked hard and we didn't have time to play around a lot. He said, I started to high school and one day I looked out the window and I saw all these people doing something out in the mud. And I said to my teacher, what are those guys doing? And he said, well, they're playing football. And I said, how do I get to do that? And he said, well, you have to try out. And he said, I was a pretty big guy. So my teacher said they'd be very interested in me. But he said, you need to have a health exam and have a certificate. He said, I went home and I told my mother. And she said, now, Richard, you know that your father is not going to pay for you to have a doctor's appointment to get to play a game. She paused a minute and then she said, but the vet's coming to check the cows next week. So this great Pro Bowler got to play football because the cow's veterinarian gave him a signed certificate that said he could do it. At last year's Hall of Fame, and it was wonderful to see the little kids coming up with their footballs for people to sign. I think of the player from Averett, small college in Virginia, standing beside Dermontti Dawson with admiration. I think of a grown man from North Carolina holding his old Ernie Green jersey to get another certificate. That man's been sleeping in that jersey for a number of years. But the most famous one was Judge Larry Van Meter came up with his son in tow. He saw Ernie Green at my table and he said, I would really like to have a picture taken with Ernie and Dale Lindsay. Can we do that? That was our judge, folks. And so we have a classic picture of the judge, his son, and those 2 players. So football, you know, Bill Curry said that the huddle was what America could be, should be, and in the best of all we could imagine, would show the values. And in this very divided world we're living in, teaching teamwork and dedication and perseverance through a great game is what we're committed to. Frank has a surprise, and so do I. So we're going to ask a couple of questions, and we have a couple of giveaways. You want to ask your questions, Frank? So this is who gets the answer gets the gift. Okay.
Yeah, this is autograph framed pictures of this year's induction class. And so my question is, what professional team did I play for in the USFL? You can't look at your phone. Oh, I got them stumped. All right, you can look at your phone. Okay, easy one then. What position did I play? I think that was defensive back right there.
While he's doing that, I'll ask this one. What did Blanton Collier say when he extended his left hand to shake hands, whomever he happened to meet? Anybody know the answer? You got it. Left hand. It's closer to my heart.
Okay, they call this low hanging fruit. Y'all ready? How old am I? Who said 63? You the man.
Thank you all so much for having us and allowing us to share our love for football
and the mission of the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Frank and I'll be hanging around up here a little bit if anybody has other questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience and sticking around, guys. And with that, we're adjourned.